Mass demonstrations fill the streets in Yemen's capital, fueled by a series of recent desecrations of the Quran. An Iraqi national in Sweden burnt the sacred religious text outside a mosque in Stockholm last month, and again stepped on a Quran outside the Iraqi embassy last Thursday. This week saw a string of similar incidents outside several embassies in Denmark. Muslims consider the Quran to be the word of God and view any intentional damage or show of disrespect towards it as deeply offensive.
The Yemeni people took to the streets today in the capital Sana'a to emphasise the sacredness of the Islamic symbols, most importantly the Holy Quran.
They must know that messing with religion is playing with fire. They must know there's a heavy cost for messing with the Quran.
Muslims in Sweden are dismayed at the deterioration of relations between the countries.
You also feel powerless faced with the situation. You expect politicians, decision makers, and the police to understand this and try to find a solution to it. But that hasn't happened, unfortunately.
Last Thursday, Iraq expelled the Swedish ambassador and staff were evacuated to Stockholm after the embassy was stormed by protesters. The burning of the Quran is still not illegal in Denmark and Sweden, as it comes under rules of protecting free speech. But both countries have spoken out about the acts.
I think there are many people who have reason to reflect. Of course, it is completely unacceptable for people to enter Swedish embassies in other countries illegally. I also think we should come to our senses in Sweden. This is a serious security policy situation and there is no reason to insult other people. I think we should focus on what's important.
Iran's supreme leader has accused Sweden of gearing up for war against Muslims, while there have been calls to make the desecration illegal.
I call on the countries of the world to enact a law that criminalises the banning of the Quran and makes it a terrorist crime.
Back in Sweden, police have filed preliminary hate crime charges against the man behind the incidents. It's now up to prosecutors to decide whether to formally indict him. Mietta Adams, ABC News.
Okay, guys, this becoming more and more of a problem here in the Scandinavian, especially in Sweden and Denmark. And the reason is because of the huge number of immigrants, especially coming from the Muslim countries. There were incidences like this last year, also here in Norway. But the recent one has caused protest even in the Muslim countries, even in Iraq and Turkey and other places in the Middle East. And now there is a huge split here, because you have on one side you have people who see this as a disrespect for religious minorities, right? And then on the other side you have people who see this act as a freedom of expression, basically. Because freedom of speech and freedom of expression here in the Scandinavian is fundamental. And so you have this huge split now. And because of the huge protests recently, now you have the leaders of Swedish leaders and Danish leaders are now in discussion to see if they can find a solution to this, basically, because again, like I said, on one side you have people who say this is a freedom of expression, this is how they express themselves, their opinions, their feelings, with regards to the huge number of these folks coming into the Scandinavian countries. But then on the other side, you have people, again, who want to respect religious minorities. So we'll keep an eye on that, but there is a possibility that we could see a ban on this, the burning of Quran in the future. which means that basically the freedom of expression in this manner will be gone. And so you even have people who are just wondering what will be the next if this freedom is gone, if you do not have the ability to criticize or say anything about these religious groups. Because again, if you are following the politics here, you would know that Sweden is now being overrun by these Muslim folks that are coming from these places. And so that's a concern. That's a huge concern for these people, for the Swedish and the Danish folks. Another problem, another issue that is connected with this is that the Turkish government is having the primary role of stopping the Swedish from joining NATO. Okay? Because the Turkish folk, they say that the Swedish people, the Swedish are Turkish and anti-Islam. So that's also something that the Swedish and the Danish folks will be taking into consideration when they are, engaging in these discussions. But we'll keep an eye on that. If we will update you on future developments regarding regarding this issue and the discussions that are ongoing now between the Swedish and the Danish. So again, guys, thank you very much for now, and I will see you on the next one.